Hi everyone. In today's video, we will know about the AWS Amplify. Let's move to agenda. What we will learn in this video. What is AWS Amplify and why it's important? What are the features of AWS Amplify? How AWS Amplify works? And what are the advantages and disadvantages of AWS Amplify? And also in this video, we will learn how to deploy the AWS Amplify with the generation 1 and 2 and what is sandbox, how sandbox works. So let's move to one by one. What is AWS Amplify? AWS Amplify is a set of tools and services designed to help developers build, deploy, and manage the scalable full stack web and mobile applications. And AWS simplifies the full stack application development with built-in tools for hosting, backend integration, and continuous deployment. And also it allowing the developers to rapidly build and scale web and mobile apps. And also it offers seamless integration with other AWS services, enhancing the functionality and performance. And it's a platform designed by Amazon Web Service. It's make easy to build and deploy the applications. It provides a suite of tools and services that simplifies the background configuration, front-end build, and hosting for the web and applications. And what AWS Amplify can do means it backend setup, front-end and hosting, integrate the CLI and libraries, security and authentication, analytics and monitoring. So let's move to why it's important. Why Amplify is important? Because it flexible and manages the backend integration, built-in security and authentication. Let's see one more. We use the AWS Amplify to rapidly build, deploy, and manage full stack web and mobile application with integrated the backend services. It helps for authentications like APIs and it helps to storages and also streamline to a unified interfaces, and it simplifies the development workflows and accelerate time to market. Flexible front-end integration, it's a flexible, we can work front-end easily, and it manages the back-end integrations, and it provides the security and authentication. It's time to market. So that is Amplify is very important. This feature of AWS Amplify. Amplify support popular web framework to create a mobile and web applications including JavaScript, React, Angular, Vue, Next.js, Android, iOS, React Native, Ionic, and Flutter like this. It supports the multiple applications, and it's easily communicate with the AWS services via Amplify framework. So let's discuss what are the features that Amplify currently offers. So it helps for authentication, data store, quick backend updates, analytics, push notification, interaction, pub sub like this. So let's learn one by one. Authentication. Amplify offers you quickly set up secure authentication workflows and user management. It provided by Amazon Cognito, and you will use the Amplify CLI or admin UI to feature configuration authentication workflow within the applications. Next is data store. Amplify data store is an on-device storage engine that creates working with distributed cross-user data as simple as working with local data, and also it synchronizes data between your mobile and web apps, and your AWS cloud database assist you in building the real-time and offline applications faster. So data store like DynamoDB, MySQL like this. Next is quick backend updates. Due to the serverless nature of AWS Amplify, changes within the backend related functionality are way easier than before, and this saves the time of the user that was previously spent on it maintaining the backend features. Analytics. AWS Amplify provides an auto tracking feature to track user sessions and website matrices or create customer user attributes for analytics. You will also access real time data strips and analytics that information to develop data driven marketing strategies to leverage the customer experience and retention rates, Amazon pinpoints like this. Push notifications. AWS Amplify improves the customer by using marketing and analytics capabilities that permit target the customer more effectively, and it contact and communicates through multiple channels like emails and text, and also as a push notification. Amazon pinpoint powers it. And AWS security is responsible for protecting the global infrastructure that runs on the AWS cloud services along with cloud itself. And another features are PubSub interaction. The PubSub means with it's easy to pass messages between your application instance and your application backends. It creating real-time interactive experience and interaction. I will build interactive and interesting conversation bots with only one line of code with the same DL means deep learning technologies that power Amazon Alexa like this. The next is how AWS Amplify work. AWS Amplify works which builds and deploys the serverless application within the cloud, and it provides a full stack application platform. It mixes both client side and server side configuration. It mainly consists of three components: libraries, UI, CL toolchain. In the libraries, the components connect, integrate, and interact with the cloud services. It's easy to add the secure authentication like file storage, data storage, and serverless API, analytics, and push notifications, and many more features to your apps. So basically, libraries provide a more features to your applications, and also it's easy to add the authentication, security purposes, and storages and serverless APIs. The next is UI, user interface. These are a pre-built UI components designed around the cloud workflows in your application, it including the authentication IR order component. The next is CLI toolchain. This is the last component help you scale your application. If you ever need to add more cloud services and features, easy to use the CLI command can efficiently make changes to your AWS managed backends. So the mainly Amplify work based on the components like libraries, UI, and CLI tool chain. The libraries helps to add the features to your application. UI helps for the designing your cloud workflows, and CLI tool chain helps add any extra cloud services or features to your backend managed services. You can, using the CLI tool chain, you can easily add the cloud services for the feature. So the overview of how Amplify work means first we need to set up and configuration using the CLI command, and then building the backend services, and then front-end integration using Amplify libraries and UI components. So this all are comes under the components. And next is hosting and deployment, testing and analytics, scaling and security management, monitoring and maintenance. With these steps, Amplify allow you to build, deploy, and scale application with the reduced infrastructure complexity. In the demo session, I will show how to deploy and how to set up configuration and building and by how Amplify works. So the next is advantages of AWS Amplify. Easy and UI driven development, usage based payments, backend support. It's free to get started. Web based analytics, built in security and authentication, CI/CD and hosting. So let's see one by one. Easy and UI driven development. AWS Amplify provides a simple, fast and modern UI driven approach to building the mobile and web application. The out of the box UI components provide everything, so you don't have to code one. The design of CLI processes and workflow is also seamless, which speeds the app development. The next is usage-based payment. Like many other paid AWS services, the payment model for AWS Amplify is very flexible and cost effective, as you only pay for the services what you use. Built-in security and authentication means it provides security and authentication. Backend support. AWS Amplify improves the app performance by offering the built-in support for backend management. And the next is free to get started. Several free and impressive tiers with AWS Amplify offers many benefits and zero cost. When you reach a year of technical requirements, you will need to set up paid tier. Web-based analytics. AWS Amplify comes with a web-based analytics dashboard that is extremely useful for the developers, designers, and project managers. It not only tracks user sessions and attributes but also provides in-app metrics. Analytics is always up to date and allowing teams to manage and track the projects. Move to the next topic, that is disadvantages of AWS Amplify. The main disadvantages are cost, constant change, higher education curve, traffic distribution, limited customization and flexibility. Let's know one by one. Higher education curve. If you are an AWS Amplify newbie, you can feel that the time you say you save in writing code will be used in learning the platform. Sometimes it is difficult for beginners because you don't need to write the full of code, you just need to implement the commands. It can easily work, but when we beginners, it's difficult to find the right method in the documentation, and multiple methods and versions sometimes make it difficult to navigate. And the next is constant change. It's constantly changing the platform, and thus new changes and features are rolled out constantly. It means that an AWS Amplify user must always be on top to keep them up to date and continually exploring this platform. The cost. Since AWS Amplify is managed services and end user has less control over the environment and install the packages that can affect your website, most likely cost more than the backend can handle it. It would be deal with the other pitfalls and managed services. Traffic distribution. You cannot use load balancer to distribute traffic when using the AWS Amplify. It can be major drawback in some cases, such as handling traffic and latency issues. The next is full stack in AWS Lambda. In the AWS Amplify, we can I've already told that it's a full stack web application, support web and build mobile application. In the it likes a front end, back end. To connect with the front end and back end, it supports the API gateway. Here it provides the authentication like Cognito. In the front end we are using S3, in the back end it supports Lambda functions, and we are using the databases in DynamoDB. For the storage purpose we are using the S3 bucket. It supports also other services like networking, security, queues and notification. This is how full stack in AWS Amplify work. It provides the authentications, database, storage, networking and API gateways, and also provides security like this. The next is sandbox. In AWS Amplify, a sandbox is a cloud-based environment that allows developers build, test, and iterate on full-stack apps. This is especially useful for testing the backend resources like authentication, API setup, and database configuration without impacting live data resources. Here we will see how to deploy AWS Amplify Generation 1. So, go to Amplify. It's look like this. Here we need to deploy our application. Before deploying, we need to install some requirements in Visual Studio. Go to Visual Studio. This is I'm using specific folder. If you need, you can use the specific folder for Amplify. So take the terminal, take new terminal, go to WSL. So here first we need to run the command sudo run update. Sudo apt update. Here it's update all the updated data. The sudo helps to updating. So after it's updating, we need to install some requirements. So it updated successfully the latest version. The next command is we need to install the Node.js. Node.js helps to deploy the Amplify application. Sudo apt install Node.js. So I've already installed, so it's updated the newest version. The next is we need to install the npm also. Sudo apt install npm. It's installed successfully. We need to check the version of Node.js and npm is installed. So node -p. Here we can see Node.js is installed version 18.19.1. So npm we use the command as npm -p. 9.2.0 npm version. So here I'm using the command as sudo apt install Node.js. When using Amplify, we may need to install the Node.js because Amplify CLI is built on JavaScript and run using Node.js. And the CLI allow you to manage your Amplify products such as initialize in managing the resource like authentication, API, more by running the sudo apt install Node.js. It's a prerequisite to running an Amplify CLI operation. That's why we are installing the Node.js. And the npm install is the node packages which is critical to use to default packages. We need to some packages, so we need the install the npm, so it update all the default packages. The next command is we are using sudo npm install -g @AWS Amplify .cli. This command helps to the npm install is a standard npm command for installing the packages. It ensures the necessary dependencies are downloaded or installed into your project. The -g it's a global installation to install the AWS Amplify CLI globally on your system and making it accessible for anywhere in your terminal command prompt. The @AWS Amplify CLI. This refers the specific package you are installing in the AWS Amplify CLI. The AWS Amplify CLI is a command line that helps you configure, deploy, and manage the various AWS services such as authentication, APIs, databases, and hosting all the context. So The mainly AWS Amplify install the npm. It's necessary because Amplify relies the Node.js and associated with the tools to handles like dependencies management. That's why we need to install the Amplify CLI. It takes some time to installing. Yeah, Amplify CLI is installed successfully. Here we need to check the Amplify version. So it's installed successfully or not. Amplify -- version. Yeah, here we can see it's installed successfully 12.13.1 version. The next command is amplify init. So this command initializes a new AWS project in your current directory. Yeah, okay, it's asking for, do you want to continue with the amplify generation 1? We give yes. Yeah, I'm giving yes. I'm a current generation 1 user. So it's enter. So enter the name for project. So you give the name of your AWS Amplify project. So I'm giving my AWS Amplify project. So it gives the information of project name, my AWS Amplify project. Environment is a default editor, Visual Studio. Add type is JavaScript and JavaScript framework. Source directory path and distribute directory build command. Exit. It shows all the information related to the project. The next is ask initialize project with the above configuration. You give yes. So here it asks a question for select the authentication method you want to use. There is a two option. One is AWS profile and another one is AWS access key. So here I am selecting the AWS access key for the purpose of authentication. So it's asking for access key ID. So I will show how to give the access key ID. So here we using the IAM role for generating the access key and secret key. So go to your AWS Amplify. Here go to IAM. Go to user. Here we need to create the user. Give the user name. So I'm giving as Amplify only. Next. So here we need to set the permission, select the attach policy directly. So here is a best practice recommended to attach the policies to group instead add the user. So in this permission policies we need to give the permission for Amplify. So search for the Amplify. Here we give access to administration access Amplify and Amplify backend deploy full access and give next. The create user. So go inside the Amplify. User is created successfully. Then go inside Amplify. Go to security credential. Here we need to create the access key. So select the command line interface. This is enable the AWS CLI to access your AWS account. But next. Here you will need to give description tag value or Go to create the access key. Yeah, here we can see access key and security access key is created successfully. Here we need to copy this access key and go to your Visual Studio. Here we need to paste the here it's also asking secret key, so copy this and paste it here. So this is how we need to create the access key and secret access key using the IAM role. So the next is here it's showing to select the region. So I am selecting the region as AP South 1. So it deploy the resources, wait for till deploying. So here deployment is completed. Here we can see create the authentication role deployment bucket as. So the next it's asking help improve amplify CLI by sharing the non-sensitive project configuration and failure. So give no. So yeah, here we can see it deployment state is saved successfully. So it's completed. It's deployed successfully. Here we can see. So it's created the amplify codes configuration backend hooks and in the source part it create the configuration JSON file and JavaScript file. So this is how it's created the code, just given the simple commands. Let's go and check the app is been deployed. So let's first we need to deploy the front end. Yes, I will show you how to deploy. Go to you. So here we can see my AWS Amplify project. So it's created successfully. Go inside this. Here there is a branches, backend environments and dev. So it's all are created. Here we need to deploy the projects. So here first we need to deploy the front end. So go to branches. So deploy front end, set up the full stack branch deployment by using and hosting the Git branches in your repository. Get started. Here there is a multiple options to deploy. Here we can see start building with Amplify. Amplify provide a full managed web hosting experience and backend building services to build the full stack apps. So there is a several option. Here I am using deploy without Git because here we know it not to create any Git repository. So select deploy without Git. Go to next. Here choose a zip folder. Yeah, so a drag and drop. Here documents downloads. So and quick exercise. Yeah, here there is a image HTML file. So it's asking for the zip folder. So this is my zip folder. Copy this and drop here. Yeah, it's uploaded successfully. So Go save and deploy. Deploy, go to branches here. Yeah, here we can see it's deployed successfully. So go to this link. Yeah, it's reloading. To reload this, here we can see. So it shows the my website hello everyone. So what we are created in this zip folder. So it's showing successfully. In this zip folder, I have created a my website. In this HTML file, it's showing the website. It's how it creates the front end. The next is we need to go to backend environment. Go to Dave. Here we can see. So latest deployment activity, it's create completely. Backend deployment initiated. So it's now created. Then go to authentication. So here we can see authentication provides backend services, and go to API. So here we need to add the API. So for this it gives the command as amplify add API. Copy this, go to Visual Studio, amplify add API command. So in this we need to add the API. Here there is two services. One is Graph HQL and REST. So here I am selecting the REST option. So provide a friendly name for your resource to be used, label for the category in the project. So I am giving the name as my first API. Provide a path, let it be same, and it asking for provide a AWS Lambda function name. So here I am giving my AWS Lambda. So the next is choose the runtime that you want to use. Let it be, because it's selected, it says Node.js. Here choose the function template that you want to use. I'm selecting hello world. So it gives some available the advanced setting, resource access permissions, schedule, recurring induction, lambda layers configuration, select various configuration. So do you want to configure advanced settings? No. Do you want to edit the local lambda function? No. And the next question is asking for restrict the API access? No. Do you want to add another path? Give no. So it's successfully add the resources my first API locally, and also add the lambda function successfully. So then it giving the next step also, amplify push will build all your local backend resources into the cloud, and amplify publish will build all your local backend and front-end resources in the cloud. So the next is we need to push the amplify. So amplify push. So the push command helps to push all the resources in your account, GitHub account. So it deploy your the Amplify project resource into an AWS. It take all the configuration, backend resources you have to set up, such as authentications, API, storage, Lambda, etc. Here we can see its correct environment is give the function Lambda. So it give the category, function and API. So it's asking for, or you want to continue? Yes. So it's deploying the environment and API and the Lambda functions. So it takes some time. So here we can see its deployment completed. So it deployed the AWS Lambda functions and API. So here I will show something. So it's how deploying. Go to your, so here we can see its state says as go to your AWS account. Here go to cloud formation. Here we can see it's created the AWS Amplify project dev and also create Lambda functions. So it's created complete, and also I will show you I have created a API also. So check for API gateway. Here we can see my first API. It's also created, and we also check for the Lambda function. So here we can see AWS Lambda. So Lambda function is also created, and also we need to check S3 bucket for the storage. So here we can see Amplify AWS project. The S3 bucket also created successfully. So S3 bucket is created or not, because we have seen it's created the content in S3 bucket. So this is how things are going work. So in Visual Studio we need to deploy only using the commands. So in this AWS account it created all the Lambda functions, API gateway, S3 bucket also. So this is it's how it's deployed. So let's check the content. Yeah, here we can see it's created the JSON templates, builds configuration, backend file. So this is how we create front end and backend, and create the API and serverless Lambda and S3 bucket things. So next thing is I will show how to delete the resources. Go to your AWS Amplify. So and this in the backend environment we need to delete your dev also. So go to action, delete. So it takes few minutes to delete. Yeah, here we can see it's deleted successfully. The next is go to app setting. We need to delete the project general setting. Need to delete the app. We delete app. Delete. So okay, successfully deleted the my AWS Amplify project. Here we can see. So it's deleted successfully. So check all the functions, they are deleted or not. Go to your API gateway. Refresh this. Okay, it's deleted, and check the Lambda function also. Lambda function also deleted, and go for AWS Amplify. Refresh this. So Amplify also deleted. So this is, and S3 bucket, Lambda, API gateway, all are deleted successfully. And CloudFormation also deleted. So this is how to deploy the generation 1 Amplify. So the next thing is we will see how to deploy generation 2 Amplify. This is the Amplify documentation generation 2. Here we need to select generation 1 and 2, which one we will need to deploy. I have selected generation 2. So here we see AWS amplifies everything front-end developers need to develop and deploy the cloud-powered full-stack application without hassle. Easily connect your front-end to cloud for data modeling, authentication, storage, serverless functions, app deployment more. So it helps to authentication, storage, and functions deployment, and many more things. Here we started this. So here what we need to do is, here we need to deploy our app and build a database and configure the authentication and authorization tools. Here there is a stepwise guidelines to what we do. So first we need to deploy a full stack app to AWS. First we need to create a repository, then deploy the starter app. So step by step we will show how to do this. So first we need to create a repository from the template. So first create repository. So here there is a repository template, and it takes the repository name as also default. Create repository. Yeah, repository is created successfully. Here we can see. A repository is created. The next thing what we need to do is go to your, the next step is deploy the started app. Now the repository has been created, then deploy it with the Amplify. So deploy to AWS. Here we have create a GitHub repository with the template. So select the GitHub. So in the first generation we did it deploy without Git. Here we need to using the GitHub repository. So select GitHub. Next. Here there is a two option for this repository. One is all repository and another is only select the repositories. Here I am selecting only select the repository. So here select at least one repository. Also it includes the public repository. So here I am selecting my Amplify AWS React template repository. Then click on install and authorize. Here in this, click and select this repository. Click on next. So here you can see app name and Amplify generation. So keep it default. Click on next. So here we can see here there is a repository details and app settings and advanced settings. So here what we did is we take as AWS sample repository and we create our own repository in GitHub. It called as Amplify with a React template. So now we are going to deploy code in AWS cloud. So what we do is just save and deploy this. So it started deploying the application. Yeah, here we can see it's deploying. Once it's completed the deploy using this URL. Yeah, it's deployed successfully. Then what we need to do is follow this URL. So here it shows like this. Here what we need to do is here let enter some content like testing Amplify deploy. Okay. Yeah, the content has been created here. So go to the Amplify. Yeah, here. So you go to main. Go to main. Here we deploy the backend resources. So there are many resources here. We can see. So, and also it contains the data. So here we can see there is a data content has been stored here. Yeah. Here there are a data content has been stored here. There are testing and amplified deploy which one we are created, and here we check Dynamo. DynamoDB is a SQL database. Here we can see DynamoDB is created and it activated its status. Let's check Lambda function is created or not. So here see, so Lambda functions also created the context. Let's go and clone the GitHub repository into your local machine. So go to GitHub repository, copy this and go to your Visual Studio, take new terminal, take WSL, here cloning your repository into local machine, get clone this. So it's cloning your repository into local machine. Then take the list. So this is the repository we're cloning. Then copy this, get into your current directory, then enter the command npm run dev. So this command is typically used to start a deployment, to start your application. Then we need to install the npm. So it started installing. It takes few minutes to install. So it's installed successfully. After installing, run the command npm run dev. Yeah, here there is a local host is visible. Follow this link. So here we facing some issues failed to resolve. So we need to solve this issue. Go to the Amplify documents. Here there is a steps. To first, already we are creating repository and deploy the starter app. So we weave the deployed app also. Yeah, setup local environment is also successful. We implement the delete functionality. So firstly we don't do this step. First we complete all the steps and run this. So in the app.tsk file we implement the delete functionality also. So copy this go to your Visual Studio. Here, go inside the source app.tsps. In the function app, after create.todo, we implement the delete functionality. Yeah. So then go to this document, and also we implement the on-click method to delete the to-do. So copy this on-click, go to Visual Studio, in the app.txt, implement the on-click. Here we need to on-click. Yeah. So then go to, so this is the fifth step. We are implementing the delete functionality. Then after implementing delete functionality, we should start the server, local server. Then we need to check. So before this, we will do another thing. Go here, go to main. So in this deployment, we need to download the Amplify output.json file. Yeah, it's downloaded. Go to downloads. Copy this and paste it in the particular folder where you was creating this. Paste it here. Pasting it, go to here. We can see output JSON file in this source. Then what we need to do is the downloading. Go to this and follow the next step. I'm also implement the login UI. It's a pre-configured authentication backend defined. So here what we need to means we need to implement the authenticator. So copy this, go to source, here main.ts case. Here we need to implement this step after, and also we need to import the AWS Amplify UI React style. Copy this, after JSON file we import this also. Then also we need to copy this sign out authenticator. Go to app.tsp, in the function app. Here we need to paste this. Then again copy the button on click, go to the app.tsp. Here after div we need to paste this on click button. Yeah. Then save the .tsp, go to your local machine, you run your application, refresh this. So here go and refresh. So refreshing, we are getting this page. Here we need to create account, enter your email ID. So you enter your original email ID because you're getting to create account. So it's a confirmation code to your email ID. So enter this code and confirm this. Yeah. So confirm this. So yes, it's confirming. Now here we can see on click button is working, that is sign out. So here delete button also working. Let's check. So when we click on this, it's deleted the content which one have created already. So then the next what we need to do is we need to add the git commit. So here in your Visual Studio, yeah, so here we need to add git add dot so after this we need to commit our git commit -yum added delete functionality and authentication. Yeah, here we can see 2 files changed and 18 insertion, 3 deletions are done. Then we need to push our git push. So it's asking for username. It's also asking for password. Enter your password. Yeah. Oh, it started pushing the git into your repository. So here we can see. So it's a repository can be pushed into the updated code through GitHub, and then go to your deployment. Here we can see it started deploying your applications. So it takes few minutes to deploy. So here we see deployment is successful. Let's go and check it's working or not. Let's go here. So refresh this page. So here we can see this is how the Amplify generation 2 works. When we click this, it deletes its functionality. This is all about how to generation 1 and 2 works. So and also I will show you how to delete this. So let's go to your all apps. Go to all apps, go this one, Here app setting, general setting. So you enter delete app. So here you confirm it's delete the app. The app is deleted successfully. So here here we can see the app is deleted successful. This is how to deploy and delete the AWS Amplify generation 1 and 2. So this is all about this today's video. Thank you.